So let's get into a demo, my favorite part. I put together a pretty cool demo too with a little help from some great designers and other folks at Infragistics on the Reveal team, but I am going to minimize my screen and I'm going to walk through a sample application called Acme Analytics. Acme Analytics is built 100% using Reveal. Of course, there's a left-hand menu and some other stuff. But I actually built the entire shell and probably about 60% or 70% of this app in our app builder product, which is our low code tool I mentioned earlier. And then I took it to the next level with some of the Reveal capabilities. So this is a fictitious company, Acme. This is their analytics app. And the nice thing about everything you see here is that this is how Reveal could fit into your own application. So you might have an application that all of your end users or something that you sell into the market, and you're looking at data, you're looking at customer information, you're linking over to Salesforce, whatever the case may be. But in this case, I built out a nice homepage. My homepage has some KPIs across the top. I have a dashboard here, which is showing me some customer overview data. Now, a unique thing about Reveal, of course, is you can customize how dashboards are presented. So in this case, I didn't want the dashboard header. I don't want to edit this dashboard. It's just like a homepage view, but I still get all of the Reveal capabilities. So for example, I have a visualization here for customer distribution. I want to maximize this, maybe look at it a little better. I can hover over different countries and look at what the underlying data might be. I can switch between the underlying data and the map that I was looking at itself. If I go and I minimize this back to my dashboard, I can go and check out some other things, maybe look at some drill down information on revenue type by customer. So this is my fixed line revenue in the Philippines. And it's just a simple, beautiful user experience for interacting with a dashboard. And again, this is a read-only view. You control the experience. You can control every aspect of it. Maybe you don't want them to maximize. You can get rid of the button. Maybe you don't want them to switch to the underlying data. You can get rid of that button. Reveal as an SDK. All of these APIs are available to you in the SDK. On the right-hand side, I have a list of all of my recent dashboards. So this is an Angular app. This is just an Angular list from our Ignite UI product. I have a thumbnail of my dashboards, and maybe I just want to go check out our CFO's daily metrics report. And then I jump right into a full screen dashboard view. So the Reveal view itself is everything that you see in the white background. That's the dashboard view. Everything else is my application, right? So this would how it would fit right into your application. But maybe in your app, you only want a single visualization. You can do that as well. Now, the nice thing is I kind of highlighted some of the nice features in tool tips that you saw earlier. So you're always going to get additional data. If you have something like date time data, you can always do drill downs. So there's a hierarchical display of like year, month, day, or year, quarter, month. However, we can determine automatically, you don't have to write any code or do anything special to do this. We'll automatically build out these hierarchies for you. And even something like a tree or a tree map. These are automatically built-in hierarchies that you would expect in a control like this. Now, the nice thing is with permissions that you set in control, let's say I want to do a little bit more with this dashboard. If I go to the overflow, I have an edit button. So I can jump right into edit mode. And now any one of these individual visualizations, I can jump into the visualization editor. So maybe let's say we had sales by year and this was great, but I didn't really want net sales. I wanted net profit. So I'm going to drag net profit in. I'm going to still leave by year, and I'm going to change the title here to net profit, like so. Profit, little trouble spelling this this morning. And I'm going to check the box, and I'm going to check the box again. And now this dashboard's updated. So doing things like editing, self-service is that simple. You have a lot of options and control over what you want your users to experience, but out of the box, all of that is available to you. So edit mode, super easy. Refresh, exporting. What export options do I have? I can do image, PowerPoint, PDF, Excel. So let's go ahead and export this guy to Excel. I have a nice little dialog here. I can select and deselect individual sheets that would get exported. I can change what a sheet might say. Let's just go ahead and export this by default. I'll open up my CFO daily report. And what we do for each visualization, we generate the table, but also a native Excel visualization. So this is not just a screenshot. This is actually a chart in Excel. Why do we do that? Well, maybe you want to take this and then use it in PowerPoint. Maybe you want to paste it in an email or something like that. It's just a nice delighter for your customers that it's more than just a boring CSV. It's an actual Excel sheet with tables, with data, with charts. So you get that experience with Reveal. Now, in this case, I have a little flyout menu here, which looks similar to my homepage, but it has all of my other visualizations that are available to me. So if I go ahead and I click, here's my campaigns dashboard. Here's again my CFO daily report, customer order analysis. This is a nice report because I have a filter. So right now I'm looking at Elfke. That's my customer ID. Let's go ahead and look at a route, and I'll hit apply. And now the data gets refreshed just for this particular customer. Now, this is pretty cool. I like how this works, but I also have another table, like a tabular report, which shows all of my customers. Now, what I really want to do is be able to click on a customer and then automatically filter out that report. So kind of have this master detail scenario. Well, Reveal has this concept called dashboard linking. So what you'll notice here is this link icon. I have an option to open invoices for Ocean, which happens to be the row that I'm on. So if I open that, this is another report with a pivot grid, which has, again, more drill downs and more feature capabilities that I can do for this particular record or particular visualization. But I also want to just link over to my customer order analysis. So let's go back one step here, and I'm going to go and edit this visualization. So let's click edit. We have a very neat feature called dashboard linking. And there's a couple things you can do with dashboard linking. You can link to another dashboard with a parameter. You can open up any arbitrary web page, like one of the demos we have is taking a customer ID and opening it up in Salesforce or your CRM system. So in this case, I want to do a new link, and I want to pass this over to that customer order analysis dashboard. Both dashboards have the same customer ID field. So I'm just going to link on that particular field, and I'm going to create the link. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to click save again. So now let's go back to my customers grid, and you'll notice now I have open customer order analysis. So if I click it, now I've linked over to that dashboard, and I'm right on the Ernch customer ID. If I go back, let's take a look at Goral here. Click this, open up my customer order analysis, and here I am on Goral with detailed data. So imagine being in a meeting with the sales team, and you're talking about customers, and you've got your customer list in Reveal, and you can just jump right into a detailed dashboard. Or you can jump right into maybe their Salesforce record directly from the dashboard. So extremely powerful what you can do. And you'll notice that I've added some custom buttons here. So by default, out of the box, what Reveal gives you is edit, refresh, all of your export options, and a save as. Well, I want to schedule an email. I have an API in the back end that allows that. I want to add this to favorites. I've written some code to track favorites. Maybe start a chat in Teams, or start a chat in Slack, or open a new window. These are all custom buttons. So remember, we're an SDK. We're a developer tool. So we allow you to customize this level of experience, even on menus, on toolbars, whatever. You have a lot of control. Now, let's say I want to do a new dashboard. I have a new dashboard button. So here I am at the new dashboard screen. So I'm going to hide this menu on the left. I'm going to click plus visualization. Now I have a few options here for data sources that are available to me. All of this is controlled by whatever security you have on the server, but I'm allowed to see all this good stuff. So let's go to current orders. I can select this guy. I'm directly into the dashboard designer. Let's go ahead and do by customer ID. And what I'll do is I'll drag order ID to values. Now this automatically did a sum. I'm going to click it. I'm going to change it to a count of rows. I'll update that field. And I'm going to say customer orders. Like that. Let's go to settings. I'm going to get rid of order ID here. I don't need the legend. I can also change the color if I'd like. This is all part of my custom theme. So theming and branding are all part of this. And if I wanted to, I could go crazy and do something like, let's add a category for country. This is not going to look good. There's a lot of countries. You'll see here if I go back and show my legend. Well, it didn't show up anyway, but we kind of run out of room up there. But if I maybe change this over to a stacked chart, will it look better? Oh, maybe a little bit better, but really having that as a category isn't my goal. So I'm going to leave it just like that. But I will highlight that we do ship with about 30 different chart types. The nice thing is we allow custom chart types. So any type of chart that you want to add, like you have a domain specific chart, maybe a very special chart that you've used for years and built up, you can use it in Reveal just like any other visualization. So let's go ahead. I'll get rid of this. Let's change our color to blue, and I'm going to check the box. And now I start to create my dashboard. I'm going to use the same data set here. So let's duplicate this guy. Let's go back here. I want to edit this, and I'm going to change this from a stacked column to something cooler like a map. So for the map, we ship with a bunch of different map options. Let's do world countries, and the location is not going to be the customer ID. It's going to be the ship country. So now I have the count of orders shipped to each country. So I'm going to say orders shipped by country. And that looks cool to me. I'm going to check that box. And now I want to do another visualization, but I don't want to use the same data. So I'm going to click this again. And I want to show all of our orders for the last 3 years. And this will be probably a very similar dashboard. But let's see who sold the most maybe by title. So let's do that. And we'll do order ID. Or actually, let's see freight. So sales reps seem to have sold the most orders and cost the most freight, and we'll say by freight. So check the box. Now I've got several visualizations. I'm going to change this, and I'm going to call this customer freight analysis, and we'll do 2 just to make sure I don't have another one in there. I check the box, and now that is saved. So if we look here in our list, we'll see our customer freight analysis in our list somewhere. I'm having trouble seeing today, but that's basically as easy as it is to create a brand new dashboard. So you're just doing simple drag and drop. Anyone can pick this up. We've made it super easy to approach and do something like that. But let's say you don't want your users to create dashboards from scratch. We have other options too. So this is an example of every visualization from every dashboard on my server. So you can see I have shipments and cost from the dashboard called Logistics by Customer. If I scroll down, I've got ROI from my crypto portfolio dashboard. If I look at average freight by customer from first dashboard. So let's go ahead and just select some of these guys. Well, that one's not going to work for us. Let's go ahead and remove that. Let's go orders by shipper. Maybe there's an issue with my map. Oh, isn't that strange? This is what happens in live demos. It doesn't matter how many times you do something beforehand, you're going to run into something in a live demo. So I needed a little refresh there. Again, my code error probably. So let's go ahead and create a quick dashboard. So I've got my average CPC by territory. Let's take a look at expense breakdown from the CFO daily dashboard. And let's look at my current value from my crypto portfolio. So I've got a few visualizations here. I'm going to go ahead and change the name to this called, sample generated dashboard, like so. Hit enter. Now when I hit the save button, that just saved off to my server. So if I go back to my dashboards, I'll see it in my list down here. So we'll see our sample generated dashboard. So you can see here, I must have had an error in one of my visualizations there. But the idea is, if your users don't want to create dashboards using the editor, you can provide an experience for them where it's simple click and load to get dashboards created, which is pretty incredible. You can almost look at this as your visualization catalog. And then finally, what I want to highlight is another really cool feature. So this is just a combo box. This combo box is an Angular combo. It has a list of all of my customers. So I'm going to select a customer, and it's going to load up the dashboard for this customer information. Now, Reveal has filtering, which we saw on my order analysis dashboard, so I can do a level of filtering. But what I want to do is pass a variable into my dashboard, which is essentially creating a custom query on the back end to load just data for this particular user. And that's what this is demonstrating, is you don't have to depend on just the features of Reveal. We have an API that allows you to pass context in from the client to the server to dynamically load data to your users. So that's an overview of a beautifully designed and styled, digitally transformed application. How much work is it to really get Reveal going in your app? So what I want to show you next is how easy it is really to get going. I've got a couple HTML files here. And this is, all of this stuff is in our docs on our website. It's so easy to get going for trying this out on your own. We even have a sample server up on the web, which you can start hitting right away for delivering dashboards. But I actually have my own server running at localhost 7006. So if I look at this, this is a simple Reveal server. I'm using a couple features of Reveal: authentication provider, data source provider, a user context provider. So I tell my server that I want to light it up with Reveal. So really, this is the server code that says, hey, web API or .NET Core server, I want to use these capabilities of Reveal. It's the same in Node, and it's going to be the same in Java. Now, the key really interface that you use on the back end is called the data source provider. The data source provider is where you can construct queries, you can construct parameterized execution for stored procedures, you can do table level permissions. Basically, it gives you full control over the code that gets executed to get data out of your back end. So in this case, I have a few lines of code. I'm telling this to use my Azure SQL database, and that's what we're going to do. So this is connected to Azure SQL, and I want to enable my database to build dashboards with Reveal. That's how easy it is to get going on the server. All told, you might have about 50 lines of code or less to get a server going with Reveal. Then on the client, I'm adding in my dependency here. So we have a JavaScript file on our CDN. You would download this and you would put it in your own application. But for ease of use and getting started, you can use our CDN. And all I want to do is load up the marketing dashboard that I have sitting on the server. So we have a load dashboard method. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to open this up in the browser. And what you're going to see is it just loads up my marketing dashboard. I didn't have to do any crazy code to, get a GUID or something on the client, which would force the server to know what I'm allowed to do. All that's happening within the context of my app. This is my application. I already know who I am. I'm already allowed to see this data. So this popped up as the marketing dashboard. Now, the great thing is I have all the features and capabilities that we saw already in the really digitally transformed demo. So this is a full screen dashboard. I've got edit, refresh, export. If I click edit, now I'm in the dashboard editor. I can pick an item here, jump right into edit mode. Let's get rid of a few of these guys. In fact, let's get rid of all of it. And let's do territory and let's do spend by territory. But I want my category to be the campaign ID. So now I have all my campaigns. Here's spend. This would look a lot better if it was a stacked chart this time. So let's make it a stacked column chart. and we're going to call this spend by territory campaign. Just like that. I check the box. I check the box. This is automatically saved on the server. I don't have to do anything. Now, let's say that I'm logged in as a person who's not allowed to automatically save on the server. There's an API that lets you determine where people save and how they save. Do you want to save as a file? Do you want to save to a database? It doesn't matter. Everything is API enabled for you. And in this particular dashboard, I've also enabled a date filter. So here I have a date range selection. I can pick the drop down to select different date options. This one's set for the last 365 days. I could do previous year, year to date, trailing 12. Let's just do all time. We'll click apply, and this updates the data. You'll notice this chart changed, right? So let's go back and let's maximize it. And now I see all of my data labels. Well, when it's smaller, it can't show all of that. There'll be too many collisions. So we just remove them. However, check out this cool feature. I maximize this guy. I have a little globe here. This globe has some statistical functions. So maybe I want to do a time series forecast, a linear regression. Let's do a time series forecast for 12 periods. I'm going to forecast based on all of my data what this is going to look like in the next 12 months. Now, because we tanked in the beginning and we were tanking at the end, those go into this statistical forecast. Let's say you don't like our statistical forecast. Maybe you already have a machine learning model that allows you to do this yourself. Great. We support Azure ML and BigQuery ML. So you can take data, push it up to a model, return that data back, and give whatever type of forecast, whatever your algorithm is, whatever AI you're using, will perfectly work in those scenarios. And in this case, if I want to see what this data looks like, I can see and scroll down and see in the yellow, this is the forecasted data based on that particular forecast. So let's change this back to a nice spline chart, minimize it back. Let's change this again to go the last 365 days, apply, and you can see the chart is reset. Now maybe I want to add a new visualization. Let's go to edit. I'll just click plus visualization. This is using a file up in the cloud. Let's do a revenue and profitability. We'll select this data and let's do by company gross margin. And there we go. It's as easy as that. GM by company. My box. And now when I scroll down, there's my visualization. Let's make it a little bit longer so I can see it better. And in fact, I didn't like the way this y-axis was displayed. Let's go back and edit this. I'm going to get rid of the legend, and on my value, I'm going to use something called large number formatting. Let's set this to auto. And now you can see my y-axis looks really nice. I'll click save on this, and I have a beautiful dashboard updated and saved that now I can share across my enterprise. So to get going with Reveal is just a few lines of code, both on the client and the server, and you can really start down this digital transformation. Simple. Just start deploying data to your users with read-only dashboards. And then when they get comfortable, incrementally let them edit dashboards or add their own visualizations. Or like I had in my digitally transformed example, create a builder where they can just build dashboards on the fly. And then eventually let them create dashboards from scratch. So it's not all at once. There's a phased rollout that you can architect, which enables users now to start making these in-context decisions with data, and then giving them more features and capabilities throughout the years forward. So with that, I'll end my demo. I'll jump right back into the slides, and I just want to highlight two things. First, Reveal really does enable that simple and beautiful user experience. So however you saw today, no matter what you think about BI, how you want to enable your users, it certainly is very easy to use, but it's also easy for your dev team to get going. So next steps, check us out at revealbi.io, email sales@infragistics.com. There's our phone number if folks still use the phone anymore. But we're available to talk to you about Reveal, to do demos and really discuss how you might use Reveal to take that next step to drive digital transformation in your organization or in your software.